considered a conditioned soul, but as soon as he is elevated to the stage of equanimity through realization of self, he is liberated from conditioned life.
Mm.
In other words, he is no longer subject to take birth in the material world, but can enter into the spiritual sky after his death. The Lord is flawless because he is without attraction or hatred. Similarly, when a living entity is without attraction or hatred, he also becomes flawless and eligible to enter into the spiritual sky. Such persons are to be considered already liberated, and their symptoms are described below.
Mm. So it's going to explain in the verses coming up about the symptoms of a liberated person. So this we've been hearing about the vision of a liberated person is seeing the supersoul everywhere, seeing the supersoul everywhere. And in this verse, talking about the mind of the liberated person is established in sameness and equanimity. So I looked up in the dictionary what it says about equanimity. It says calmness, composure, steadiness. So that when this is the mind, the mentality of a liberated person, very calm, very steady, very composed, and Prabhupada's elaborating the purport, being free from attraction and repulsion or hatred. So in Prabhupada's mentioning that in Krishna's mind, see, Krishna's a person. He has a mind. Otherwise, well, why would it say Krishna is free from attraction and hatred? Because he has a mind too. He has a mind too. And his mind is free from attraction and hatred. And also Krishna's devotee's mind is just the same, free from attraction and hatred. And this word equanimity, I suppose it comes from this word equal. So, or the same. So we're seeing everything the same. So what's the same? We've explained about that you see the same Lord everywhere. And that all the souls are also the same, and that we're all brothers and sisters. No one's higher or no one's lower than anyone else. Of course, our bodies are not the same. As we know, the bodies are all different, as we've explained. But we're not talking about the bodies. We're talking about the soul. Spiritually, we're all the same. I mean, we're all eternally individuals. Yeah, we're not the same person. I mean, if I was the same person, I would be feeling everything that Gulshan's feeling, I would be feeling, if we're all the same soul. So we're not the same soul. You know, I can't feel all of Gulshan's pleasure and all of his pain.
Oh, you definitely can't.
Definitely can't.
Because I
And
love paneer.
that he loves paneer. I didn't know that. Now I've only just found that out now. I didn't. If I was the same as Gulshan, I would know his love for paneer. And so we're not the same soul, but we're the same in the sense that we all have the same father.
Yeah,
And
Krishna.
that we all
Krishna is only the
have
male.
that, yeah. And
Okay.
we're all servants. And that way we're all the same. And that we're all servants. We can't say that some of us are masters and some of us are servants. No, we're all servants. There's only one master. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasava Bricha. So there's only one master, that's Krishna, and everyone else is a servant. So in that way, we're on the same platform, that we're all eternal, that's the same. We're all full of consciousness, knowledge, that's the same. And our nature is to be blissful and happy, that's our nature. And that's the same. We're all servants of the same master. We have the same father. We're all brothers and sisters with the same father. So all these things are the same. And that supreme father is everywhere. And that's also the same.
Abhay.
Yes, Bob.
Sorry, mate. Can I just ask, equanimity, you said calm, composure. What was the last word? You said calm, composure.
Steadiness.
Steadiness.
Now that was in the Collins English dictionary, but there's so many dictionaries and they probably say different things. I've got another dictionary here, and that's equanimity says evenness of temper.
Oh,
Composure. So different dictionaries will say different things, but it's the same basic idea, that it's to do with your mind, equanimity of mind. Sometimes Prabhupada writes that. He lets you know where the equanimity is. It's in your mind. So he says equanimity of mind. So it's on the mental platform. So mentally, there's equality there. There's a sameness there. That equal vision there. That your mind is not focusing on dualities, like pleasure, like pain, like heat, like cold, like good, bad, black, white, rich, poor. Like, it's not focusing on attraction, hatred. It's because the mind is normally in material consciousness always in dualities. I like this, I don't like this, But on the spiritual platform, the mind is above these dualities. And how is that possible? Because you're just so focused on Krishna, and you're just seeing everything is in relation with Krishna. So there's no good and bad anymore.
everything
Would
is
someone
okay.
like to explain that? How could you be free from, if you're Krishna conscious, you get free from good or bad? How does that work?
I just accept it, everyone as it is, okay.
Is it also because you become more aware of like transcendental knowledge, and it's the transcendental, so you transcend, to use the word, sort of material dualities and material, concerns, and it's not
I
it's
think
not
accept as it is,
Everything you say, Sarah, is true, but
We're not in control.
But how is it that? But I'm asking practically, is it that how that thought process can change that you don't see bad anymore?
It's true.
Like an example, it's World War II. This is real life. Prabhupada's sitting on the roof of his house, that flat roof. He's eating his meal. There's an air raid siren going on, which means there's bombers in the sky. They could drop bombs that could land on your head, and you're dead. So Prabhupada's wife comes up, says, my beloved husband, please come with me to the bunker for safety. And Prabhupada says, no, I'm honoring prasadam. I'm doing service for Krishna. I'm honoring prasadam. He says, if the bomb comes down on my head, I will see that bomb as
Krishna.
As Krishna. That bomb means death, right?
Yeah.
But that death is what is death?
Body changes, that is not death like
But
a soul.
that whole process, who's controlling that process of death?
Krishna.
Krishna.
Look at 10th chapter, text 34. Krishna says, Mrityu Sarvaharashchaham. He says, I am death. I am death. So even that process of death is also Krishna. So if you're Krishna conscious, if you're equanimity of mind, you're Krishna conscious, then there is no such thing as death. Death is also Krishna. There's only Krishna. Where you lose that equanimity when you forget Krishna. There's only Krishna in every situation. And then he says, have you got that verse? Mrityu Sarvashcharam?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then what it says? Then it says that I am the source of generation of, what is it? Future generations, the generating principle.
Generating principle of all that is yet to come.
Yeah, so that he's saying I'm birth also. So you can't say Krishna's only death. Krishna's also birth. So what is that principle? What is controlling that? What is controlling that energy of a living entity being born in this world? That's also Krishna. Every time something is born, whether it's a fly or a cockroach or a human being or a horse or whatever. I mean, I've seen on the farm cows getting born. I mean, I've seen horses getting born. That animal coming out of the womb of its mother, that process is also Krishna. And I've also seen animals dying. I've seen cows die. That's also Krishna. I've seen a person that's died. That's also that process of how that soul is taken out of one body and put in another body. That process of transmigrating is also Krishna. So ultimately, is there birth and death? Should we be thinking about that? There's this duality of birth and death. Ultimately, there's only one thing happening.
Only Krishna.
Only Krishna. There's only Krishna. And Krishna's manifesting in different ways. He's manifesting in this energy of birth and in death and in old age and in disease and in happiness and distress and heat and cold. But the heat is Krishna, and the cold is Krishna. And if you become super wealthy, that's also Krishna's energy, Lakshmi. And if you become super poor, that's also Krishna as Hari. He took it all away from you. Who took it away from you? Krishna took it away. But then the question is, why did Krishna take away all your money?
Was it too much? You didn't need it.
Because it was bad for you. If Krishna took it away, it means he only took it away. He only takes away things that are bad for you. Bad
So
for you.
if you give it away, it means...
Hari doesn't mean he takes away the good things from your life. Hari means he takes away the bad things from your life. The things that are stopping you from becoming Krishna conscious, that he takes away. He'll take away things in such a way that you will come back to him. That's mercy. So ultimately, everything that happens in a devotee's life is mercy. If the bomb drops on my head, it's mercy. That's the way the devotee doesn't see bomb. He doesn't see death. He sees Krishna's mercy.
Is Maya also Krishna?
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
When Maya comes in, okay.
One time Prabhupada said Maya is the backside.
Oh.
In the darkness, the shadow. Yeah, it's also Krishna. So in that way, you develop equanimity. You see everything in connection with Krishna. There's nothing other than Krishna. You know, where does fear come from?
Ignorance.
Ignorance of?
Not knowing.
Not knowing who?
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah. Bayam dvati yabina veshara syad. That fear arises due to absorption and thinking there's something other than Krishna. As soon as you think there's something other than Krishna, and you start to think about that thing other than Krishna, then you become afraid. But there's nothing other than Krishna. But you're thinking there's something other than Krishna. That's Maya. Actually, there is nothing other than Krishna. There's no second thing other than Krishna that exists. Everything is either Krishna or Krishna's energy. But you're thinking that there's something that's not Krishna. That's what Maya means. And that's what causing you to be afraid and to be in anxiety and all these other lamentation and all these kind of problems.
Krishna is their intelligence. If
Yeah,
we're
of course.
thinking,
He says that.
so if we're thinking, then who's thinking? Krishna?
So Buddhi, he says intelligence is also my energy.
So if Krishna is Buddhi, then who's thinking then? I'm thinking or Krishna's thinking?
Yeah, we're thinking. The mind is thinking, feeling, and willing. Intelligence is discrimination. Accepting something, we considering something as a fact. Like we're with our intelligence, we've developed the idea that we're this body. So that's intelligence in the mode of ignorance. So we want to purify that intelligence.
So this transcendental knowledge goes to the mind, or it goes to the soul?
The transcendental knowledge, it goes to the soul, and the soul becomes awakened. It goes to it awakens the spiritual intelligence. So you have physical senses and spiritual senses, and you have a physical mind and a spiritual mind. You have a physical intelligence, a spiritual intelligence. So, and all the spiritual ones, the spiritual senses, mind, intelligence, and the soul, is within this material body. Material senses, mind, intelligence. It's all within that. There's a whole spiritual person. Spiritual person means you have spiritual senses. Spiritual person means you have a spiritual mind. You have a spiritual intelligence. So it's all one complete package. And that whole spiritual person is within this physical body, just like this body is within this shirt, like that. So the process of Krishna consciousness is that the transcendental sound of the Vedas coming from the Guru's mouth into our ears goes straight into our heart and awakens the spiritual intelligence there, awakens the spiritual intelligence, and the soul wakens up and realizes that I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, and I should engage in bhakti yoga, in devotional service, like that. So that's the process. Krishna consciousness. But yeah, I mean, you were saying, is it Krishna thinking, or is it me thinking, or Krishna's intelligence, or my intelligence? We have to distinguish that, in one sense, there is a difference between Krishna's energy and Krishna. See, Krishna's a person, he's in the spiritual world. So every time we do something, we can't say, it's Krishna's doing it.
No, we got a free will as well.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that it's connected to Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that, say, well, Krishna's attracted to this girl, it's not me. No, it's not like that. Or Krishna wants an ice cream. No, it's me that wants the ice cream. So, but it's all Krishna's energy, which is connected to, which is intimately related to Krishna. It's connected to Krishna, but it's also we don't want to become like impersonalists or Mayavadis, saying it's all one in the sense that there's no difference between Krishna and all the other souls in that. There is differences, as we know, in quantity. So quantitatively, we're different from Krishna, but qualitatively, we're the same. We're all part of Krishna. But you can't call the part the whole either. Is it, Bob, can you call your finger your whole body?
No.
No, it's part of your body, but it's not your whole body, is it?
No.
So the finger can never be the whole body. So the whole body is the whole body, and the finger is the finger. You can't, the part is never going to become the whole. So it's not that, Krishna's thinking these things. No, but we're thinking these things. But it's all Krishna's energy, what we're thinking with. This instrument called the mind is a product of Krishna's energy. This body that we're working with is Krishna's energy, but it's not Krishna, but it's Krishna's energy. But when we remember it's Krishna's energy, then we remember Krishna, and that's Krishna consciousness. Remember, this is Krishna's mind. I should use it to think of Krishna. This is Krishna's given me intelligence. Let me use it to do what Krishna wants, to do what Krishna wants, to do the right thing. So intelligence is discriminating. What's the right thing and what's the wrong thing? Like I'll give you an example, how you can see how your mind is working and your intelligence is working. Okay, just picture this. It's in the middle of winter and your mind says, I want an ice cream. But then there's another voice in you that says, I'm not so sure that's a good idea. It's like the middle of winter. If you have a cold ice cream, you're probably going to get sick, you know, or it might say, you know, you've got, you know, type 2 diabetes. I don't think that's a good idea for you to be having a big hit of sugar right now. You know, it's going to make you more sick. So that's your intelligence. So, you know, the mind is simply accepting and rejecting things. The mind says either I like this or I don't like this. I want this or I don't want. But the intelligence is discriminating, is making, is finding out what's right and what's wrong, what should be done and what shouldn't be done. That's intelligence. So there's a difference between mind and intelligence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, intelligence is Krishna.
Krishna's energy, yes.
Jesus.
Yeah. And Krishna's in our heart, the super soul. And when we serve Krishna, he becomes pleased and he'll give us intelligence. So that's another thing again. That's and we call that in English conscience. That inner voice, conscience. What is conscience? The Western people don't really know what that is. But that's actually the super soul in our heart, trying to give us good intelligence, good guidance.
Sometimes it's happened that when I go to take the order in the Bhakti tree, and whatever I think, customer should have to have that drink, and they order the same drink. It's in my mind. I didn't say that. I show the menu and standing there with a pen and piece of paper, and I just say, I think they're gonna have that drink, and they order that drink. What's that? I don't know. Many times happens that I say he's gonna order that drink, kombucha, this one, and you order the same.
So what can happen is that it's not that your mind controlled that situation, but what it is that the same super soul's in everyone's heart, right? So the super soul in our heart knows what our mind is desiring, and if the super soul agrees with that desire, then the super souls in the other person's heart also can prompt that person's mind to say, I want that. So if you know that, then you can make sure you have good desires. Make sure you have good desires.
No desire at all.
Of course, ultimately it's up to the super soul whether the super soul agrees with your desire or not. So that depends on the person's karma also. And also the quality of the desire, if Krishna wants that to happen. And if the person has the karma. But yeah, our desires can influence what happens. But it's actually the Supreme Lord, the super soul, that is arranging all these things. See, the New Age people, a lot of the New Age people, they think that the mind can control what actually happens. Now, they're missing out an important step. They miss out the super soul. They don't have any idea about the super soul. So they just say, you just think positive thoughts and you just project in your mind that, you know, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. You know, you do your positive thinking and you project all these things with your mind, and they say, you know, you can control everything with your mind. But they've missed out a very important step. Is that ultimately it's the super soul that will either sanction that or not. Of course, if you have the karma, the good karma, then what you desire in your mind may happen. But if you don't, then it won't. So it's not that actually your mind is in control of what happens. The super soul is in control, but the super soul is witnessing and listening to our desires, and in many cases it may fulfill our desires. You want to look at the 13th chapter, text 23. Oh, I just noticed we've gone a bit over time. Okay, we'll have to stop after this point. 13, 23. Yeah. Sarah, do you want to read that one?
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the supersoul.
Yeah. So yet in this body there's another. So the previous verse talked about the individual soul, us, in this body. Now this verse is talking about there's another person in this body, and that's the super soul. So there's two persons in the body, the individual soul, us, and the super soul. And what's he doing there in our body? He's the transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord. He's the Lord. He's the enjoyer. He's the Lord. He's the proprietor. So he's the main one. Don't forget that. We're not the enjoyer. We're not the Lord. We're not the proprietor. That's the other soul, not us. And what is he doing there? What is the Lord, the enjoyer, the proprietor doing in our body? He's witnessing or overseeing everything that's going on. He's watching. He's watching, witnessing. And he's the permitter. He's the sanctioner. If he doesn't give permission, I'm sorry, mate, you can't have it. So you put in your wish list. You know, you want to become a millionaire and, you know, have everything you possibly could want. And, you know, but it's up to the Lord. He has to give permission. So it's not just your mind is thinking whatever it's thinking. That Gulshan's thinking, this person is going to have a mango lassi. But
Now, we got a lot of other drinks there, kombuchas and the flavors and juices and all that. And I just look at their face, and then I say he's gonna give a guava juice, and they order guava juice. I don't know.
them.
Yeah, I don't know. It just happens, like, you know.
Yeah. So it's true. I mean, you can influence what happens. You know, the mind is very powerful.
Gulshan, oh sorry.
Yeah.
Now don't even think about Bob. Don't leave.
Gulshan,
Yeah.
you're just becoming a spiritual maitre d'.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I'm just an ordinary maitre d'. No,
No, well, once the soul lines his desires up with the super soul's desires, that becomes a powerful team. That becomes very powerful. And people are bewildered, and like scholars and academics and scientists and that, they look at the life of Prabhupada and they can't understand how a 70-plus-year-old man could do so much. Travel around the world more than 12 times, you know, in 12 years, and, you know, and initiate more than 5,000 disciples, establish 108 temples, farms, restaurants, everything, you know, to write more than 60 books, you know, write, you know, a dozen letters a day, you know, sleep 3.5 hours, everything, you know, because once you line your desires and interests up with the Lord, then the Lord can arrange amazing things, incredible things. And Prabhupada said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. He said the word impossible is in a fool's dictionary.
It doesn't exist in my dictionary. I've got an Oxford one.
Why is that? Because why is Prabhupada saying nothing is impossible? Nothing.
Well,
Because
Krishna is impossible.
From Krishna's point of view,
everything is possible.
Like Krishna lifted a mountain with his little finger of his left hand. I mean, if he wanted to, he could have lifted it without even using one finger, you know, but just by thinking about it. But so anything, if you connect up with Krishna and want to be an instrument for Krishna, Krishna can do anything through you. Krishna can do absolutely anything. I know a devotee that he sold 900 transcendental books in one day.
Wow.
It's like materially it's impossible. He not giving them away, he sold them. By the time one devotee's service that day was going, in between him and the van where the books were. By the time he walked to the van and back to him, he'd distributed all his previous stack of books. He had a stack of books I can't even show you, and the camera's not big enough, from like about a meter high stack of books. He sold that by the time the other person, he would just stop someone on the street and just like smile at them and look at them, and the person would just open their wallet and hand out all the money over to them and walk away with a whole stack of books.
Wow.
With hardly he would even say a sentence. He was just fully in tune with the super soul. And then at the end of the day, because it was a tradition that you tell your book score, how many books you distributed. So someone would say, I distributed 10 books, I distributed 15, I distributed 25. And he said, I distributed 900. So they were, and then how did you do it? So what he said is incredible. He hardly said anything. He said, what's the secret? So he said, I just tried not to get in the way. That's it. That's all he said.
Wow.
I just tried not to get in the way. Get in the way of what?
Of Krishna distributing the book.
Get in the way of Krishna working through me. What gets in the way? Our false ego, which is the house is not big enough for it. Our huge false ego, our pride, and I think I'm doing this and I'm the best and I'm doing everything and Krishna's not doing it. I'm doing it, and everything. I'm